So, God made 18 suns, and then everything went wrong. That's Warhammer 40,000. You can go home now. You're still here. Fine, let's do this properly. The Primarchs, 18 demigod super soldiers created by a man who may or may not be a god himself, scattered across the galaxy like cosmic parenting negligence, shaped by the worst environments imaginable, handed an army, and told, go conquer the stars. I believe in you. Also, I have a secret I'm never going to tell you. Half of them turned evil. Not one. Not two. 9. 9 of the 18 most powerful beings in the setting decided their father's dream was a cope and burned everything down instead. That's a 50% radicalization rate. That's not a problem with the children. That is a structural failure of the institution. But we'll get there. The Emperor of Mankind, no name, just the Emperor, spends tens of thousands of years secretly manipulating human civilization from the shadows. Then, one day decides subtlety is cowardly. Time to go loud. He builds 20 suns, genetically engineered demigod super soldiers, each one a perfect aspect of martial and intellectual excellence. He pours literal pieces of his own soul into them. And then the Chaos God's ancient eldritch entities of psychic entropy reach into his lab and scatter all 20 Primarchs across the galaxy before they're even born. 20 infant demigods flung across the cosmos like the universe's most devastating game of Where's Waldo. The Emperor's response: finish building the army, find them later, and never discuss the trauma. Classic. The Chaos Gods scattered the babies on purpose. They could feel the Great Crusade coming, the galaxy-wide campaign that would starve them of the blood and fear they feed on. So they threw the children to wolves, hoping terrible environments would forge them into weapons against their own father. It worked on 9 of them. Half. The first gut punch here is the thing nobody says out loud. The Chaos Gods didn't ruin the Emperor's plan. The Emperor's plan ruined the Emperor's plan. The Chaos Gods just showed up with a lighter. A father who builds weapons and calls them sons. Sons shaped by abandonment before they take their first breath. An institution built on hierarchy and silence, and the assumption that loyalty doesn't need to be earned, only demanded. We haven't met a single Primarch yet, and the architecture of tragedy is already fully assembled. Let's go meet them. Horus, the favorite son. The cautionary tale. Horus is the War Master, the Golden Boy. He's genuinely brilliant, charismatic, tactically gifted, deeply loyal. He bleeds for the Crusade, wins every campaign, routes every scrap of glory back to his father. He does everything right. And the Emperor says, cool, I'll be downstairs. When the Chaos Gods show Horus a vision his brothers venerated, while he's forgotten, the Emperor becoming a god, while Horus's sacrifices get credited to divine providence, Horus breaks. The vision is propaganda, but it is built on real wounds the Emperor never bothered to heal. The most effective manipulation doesn't create your insecurities. It finds the ones already bleeding and presses down. The heresy ends with both of them dying on the bridge of a battleship. The Emperor survives entombed in a life support machine for 10,000 years, becoming exactly the god he said he never wanted to be. Horus gets his soul completely erased. No afterlife, no echo, just nothing. Reboot Guilliman, the middle manager who was right about everything. Guilliman wrote the actual rule book, built real infrastructure, real governance. He is the guy who looked at galactic conquest and said, yes, but have we considered supply chains? He woke from 10,000 years in stasis, looked at the 41st millennium Imperium, and his canonical reaction was, you turned my policy document into a holy text, violated every principle in it, and you're still losing? He runs the Imperium now. He has called it monstrous. He does it anyway, because the alternative is worse. That's not a character arc, that's a diagnosis. Magnus the nerd who read the wrong books and paid for it forever. Magnus is a psychic genius who loves his father completely, unconditionally, in a way that is genuinely painful to read about. He studies forbidden knowledge because he believes if he understands what his father fears, he can protect humanity better. The Emperor says, don't use sorcery. Magnus keeps studying, out of devotion, not defiance. Then, he uses his forbidden power to warn his father about Horus's betrayal, ripping open a secret imperial project in the process. Trying to save everyone. The Emperor's response is to burn his world. Here's what should bother you. The Emperor could have told Magnus about the project. He chose secrecy. Magnus tripped in the dark over something nobody told him was there, and burned for it. Magnus falls to Tzeentch, the chaos god of forbidden knowledge, because at least Tzeentch will answer his questions. Even lies feel like intimacy when you've been kept in the dark long enough. Angron, the one we should be most wrecked by. Angron gets coded as the mindless rage character. He is not that. He was found as a gladiator slave, with devices called the Butcher's Nails carved into his brain implants that constantly stimulate aggression and provide pain release only through violence. Peace is neurologically impossible for him. He is in constant agony. He had friends, a rebellion he was building. The Emperor found him and teleported him away at the exact moment he could have saved everyone who mattered to him, and chose not to. The Emperor could have removed the nails. He didn't. Angron's sons love him so completely that they carve their own versions of the nails into their skulls to feel what he feels, to share his wound. His sons are carving his trauma into their own brains as an act of devotion. Angron didn't fall. He erupted. He's been erupting since the moment he was separated from the people he chose. The other traitors, Fast Perturabo, was a genius who wanted to build cities and monuments. He spent his career tearing things down because he was too good at it to be given anything else. The Chaos Gods barely had to work. They just said, "Your father used you." Partly true. Carefully framed. That's all manipulation ever needs. Fulgrim pursued perfection as a philosophy, and found that perfection has no breaks. He picked up a daemon sword because it was beautifully made, and the Chaos God Slaanesh, deity of sensation and transcendence, was built specifically for someone who believes any limit can be overcome. He personally murdered his best friend in the opening battle of the heresy, internally screaming, externally smiling. The loyal 8, even faster Rogel Dorn, held his father's dying body after the siege. He's been processing grief through work for 10,000 years. The work never stops. Sanguinius could see the future, knew he was going to die, walked into it anyway, because someone had to hold the line. That's not heroism, that's just showing up. Jagatai Khan was too free for the institution he was born into. He rode into the webway and never came back. Respect. Vulcan is the only Primarch whose doctrine specifically prioritizes protecting civilians, not as a side note, as the primary principle. The setting treats this as unusual. That's the joke. It isn't funny. Corvus Corax survived a massacre and went very quiet. He's in the void somewhere, the Primarch of surviving and not being okay about it. Lionel Johnson held his secrets so tightly that his own sons didn't know which side he was on during the heresy. He's awake now. Everyone is watching. Ferrus Manus died first, killed by his best friend. His sons responded by replacing flesh with metal and declaring emotional vulnerability a design flaw. Grief, sublimated into ideology. Alfarius Omegon are twins, probably, identity as a weapon. Maybe on both sides, maybe dead, maybe not. The Emperor loved his sons. This is not in dispute. He poured pieces of his soul into them. He retrieved them from the worst planets in the galaxy. He loved them. He just never said it, never explained himself, never sat with the ones who were suffering and said, "I see what's happening to you, and it matters to me." He treated them as instruments of a vision, rather than as people within a relationship. And the Chaos Gods manipulative, predatory, lying treated his sons as people. They pressed on wounds the Emperor left untended, and said, "I see you, I understand you, I know what you need." 9 of 18 believed them. This is the oldest story in theology, psychology, and political science. The authoritarian, who produces broken children, not because he didn't care, but because he confused provision with love and compliance with loyalty. The institution that demands sacrifice without offering meaning. The movement built on hierarchy and silence that never once tells its people what they actually mean to it. It happens in families, in corporations, in nations, in every structure where the person at the top is too certain of their own vision to acknowledge the human cost of pursuing it. The Emperor is not a monster. He wants a future for humanity, genuinely, desperately, across tens of thousands of years. But he couldn't say I love you, couldn't say I need you to trust me, and also give you a reason to. When you cannot say those things, other voices fill the silence. The Primarchs are mythology. They're also a mirror, and the reflection is uncomfortable. That's every Primarch, roughly 12 minutes. I'm going to go lie down. If this did something to you, if you're suddenly unable to look at authority figures without asking questions, the Horus Heresy book series has 30-something volumes, and it only gets worse. The Siege of Terra subseries will live in your head. The Primarchs novels fill in details that make everything more painful. Thank you for watching, or listening, or experiencing this. You're not okay. Neither am I. Subscribe